We're going to go over what phishing is, why it's important to, well, all of us, what can happen if you do get phished, the negative impacts, types and examples, how to tell if you're being phished, and what to do when contacted and what not to do. Okay, what is it? What it really is it's an emotional attack. It is designed to play upon either trust or fear, and it used to be just in the form of an email, but since the advent of social media, it's kind of blossomed into that, as well as texting and even phone calls, which can be scary. I'll get to that in a few minutes. As I said, it plays upon your emotion, either a desire to help or some sort of fear of reprisal, such as being told that you're getting audited by the IRS, or that marshals are coming to get you if you don't give them your credit card number. And there's no shame in it. It's something that can really happen to anyone. You never know if you're going to get attacked or how, but it's something that there's really no shame in. If it's going to happen, someone's going to try to get you at some point in your life. All right, so why should you care? Well, because it's happening to you and the people you know, but also because since the pandemic started and people have been social distancing, it's become a lot more prevalent because of social isolation. It's making it easier because people aren't reaching out as much. And because Ark and Dove has been targeted a lot over the past months. I've been dealing with at least 5 or 6 emails that have been forwarded to me. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And because you're a target and you're a good one. Everyone in the church is, because people tend to trust authority figures, especially in church. And so they will go after that trust. Okay, so common types and terms of phishing. All right, so email, that can be pretended to be IRS, bank, it can pretend to be Amazon. Another type is social media. Chain letters, also, forward this, and if I get 1,000 likes, Bill Gates will donate a car. Things like that, you'll see a lot of those. Fake links, which look real, but actually go to a malware type site. Memes are good too, sharing those, because you can hide a link in a picture. Surveys, we'll get into more of those later. That's a big one for the older generations. And I'll talk about why in a little bit. And also hacked or spoofed accounts. So this is when we get into what can happen for the effects of a phishing scheme, is someone can steal your account and then use it to attack and target other people. They might request money using that hacked account. I've had it happen to me a couple times. All right, so there's a couple other different types of phishing. So phishing with a PH, but it's also called vishing, which is also texting. Or no, sorry, phone calls pretending to be IRS, Social Security Administrator, or U.S. Marshals. I've seen a couple of those. And their favorite is debt collecting. They really like to do that one. And those are usually fear-based. Another type you're going to see is it's called smishing, which is SMS, so texting. Usually a cry for help, or saying, my car's broken down, please Venmo me this information. Because text is a lot easier to fake than voice. Now, there's a problem with that nowadays, because there are there's some programs and apps out there that if you get a recording of someone's voice, like say Pastor Tim doing a sermon, and you upload that, there's a program called Lyrebird, and you upload that, then anything you type will sound like Pastor Tim said it. So then you can record that information and just do a phone call. It's just that easy. It'll sound just like you. Might have some different pauses in there, but it's a problem. And the worst thing that you're going to run into is combination attacks. A good example would be starting with the phone and then asking to verify your email. You give them your email, then they send an official looking email with a link in it that you click on. So that's a problem. So we'll get into how we fix that later. All right. So these are the effects. All right, effects include a lot of different negative effects, but they can turn your computer into what's known as a bot, which is basically an automated computer that they use to attack other people. They can steal financial information. They can use your contact information for crime, and they can also steal your identity. And also, one of the reasons, the big issue that people don't talk about is because negative effect also is the shame or embarrassment in being tricked by someone like that. You don't want to talk about that you basically got made a fool of. And so that's what keeps people from talking about it. There's no shame in being phished. It can happen to anyone. They tried to get Christina first, which is how I found out about it. And that upset me. So we'll deal with that later. Okay, so these are the different types of phishing that is generally run down from a global report in 2019. You're going to see in the bottom two, the most common things are credential harvesting and malware phishing. That's where they're trying to put a program on your computer so they can turn it into a bot or steal information. That's usually the most thing. Credential harvesting is basically trying to lure you into giving fake personal information via like a fake site login, password link that they give you, attachment with a link. That's what also you're going to see a lot of this when I talk about surveys in a minute or two. That's what surveys are going to do. Those are credential harvesting. They're trying to get your personal information so that they can use it. All right. Over half of all phishing attacks contain malware. So it's not just one type of attack. You're going to see a couple different things happen. They can do credential harvesting and give you a link for malware, because then they basically get a 2-for-1 deal. They're getting your information and they're turning your computer into a remote bot for them. So what can you do about it? Well, what you can do about it is verify. We always hear about trust but verify, but really what you're going to do is just verify. You check, you can see on your screen, check the to and from fields. If you're getting an official looking email from a Gmail account, that's a problem. Generic salutations. Spelling mistakes are becoming a lot less common because they've got spell check too. Now this is key. If you're on a computer, not a phone or a tablet, hover over a link. Do not click on it, because if you hover over a link, the actual script of what that link says, as you can see on the screen, it says it should be fedex.com. It's actually evilhacker.ru exploit, blah, blah, blah. So if you hover over it, you will see where it actually is going. And if they don't match up, that's a problem. Only click on attachments you expect to be coming. Right? But like I said, if hovering only works on computers, you cannot hover with a tablet or a phone. As soon as you touch it, you're going to click it. It's a known limitation. There's no way around that. All right. This one really bothers me because it hits a lot of the older generation. My mom loves to send me Facebook links to surveys. Which Harry Potter character are you? Stuff like that, which is great. But here's the problem. Because with the advent of shortened or hidden URLs, or universal resource locators, basically web pages, you can't always tell what you're going to be clicking on. So if you click on links in Twitter, Facebook Messenger, whatever, I can make that look like anything I want. I can make it look like www.google.com. But what it really is, you're going to a site that has nothing to look like Google. It looks like Google, but it's nothing to do with Google, and it downloads something onto your computer. Quizzes. Those are information gold mines because they start really innocuous. You know, what house would you like to be in Gryffindor? What is your favorite animal? Then it starts getting into, what was your first pet's name? What is the name of the street you grew up on? And what else uses that information? Passwords. That's right. Password resets specifically. What you also have to watch out for cash grabs. So any type of urgent request for money from a family or friend. I had a friend who got hacked, and they Facebook messaged me instead of texting me, which they usually do, trying to ask for money because they needed to get their car fixed. Wasn't them. Chain tweets. You'd think those are innocent, but they're really not. No one's going to donate to charity for retweets, and no one's getting free Bitcoins, which is something I saw recently where everyone who retweets this gets 1,000th of a Bitcoin, which ends up being a couple $100, but still, no one's going to do that. And all it is really opening you and your contact list up to phishing. Any questions so far? Anybody?
This might come later in our series. Would a program like McAfee detect all malware?
They're good, but they're only as good as you update. And I usually have like 1 or 2 different malware scanners. I have Malwarebytes and also have Norton, because surprisingly, Windows Defender is pretty good. I'm not a big fan of a lot of their products, but Windows Defender is actually pretty solid. I recommend using those, yes. I mean, but they can only do as good as they're programmed. And what it really comes down to is the user, you, and me and everyone being cognizant that this could happen and verifying information. Because if you don't click on it, the malware won't download. Short answer, yes, but I prefer not to just trust that the malware, my anti-malware will solve the problem. After creating this slideshow, I decided to test how bad it was. So I Googled, which Harry Potter character are you? I've already talked about that one twice. So I ran into a different issue than I was expecting, okay? I clicked on BuzzFeed. It then took me to an unverified site, started the quiz. As soon as I started the quiz, I got that pop-up that you see on the screen. Couple interesting things there. It looks really scary, and if you have your audio on, when you get that, you get a really loud blaring siren, so it definitely lets you know that it's there. But there's a few differences. Like the actual Microsoft support line is completely different. All that is just a pop-up, but if I clicked on it, I probably would have gotten some malware. So it would have been basically telling the truth if I clicked on it, because then my computer might have been compromised. But do not ever click those links when those pop up. Just close that website down. If it keeps trying to do more pop-ups, just close your entire web browser down and start over. It's not worth it trying to go back in time if you click on the link. Okay, so these are some examples of phishing and smishing. I'm sure you guys have seen these or heard of these before. Any of those type of things you're getting on your phone is potentially scam. All right, you're probably not going to win a $1,000 Walmart gift card. If you are, they're probably going to not text you. Right? Unusual activity in your bank, that's a favorite one, because they can make that website look like anything they want. And when they do, you click on it, it's something else. And of course, the one that we got via email was the green one kind of thing right there. Christina, I need your help. Please buy 6 Google cards and scratch off the numbers and take a picture, because I'm in a meeting and I can't get to my phone right now, or something like that, which is weird because it came that way. But yeah, they try to get a dialogue, and then they try to force the issue, making it seem like they have a very short-term suspense, and then they got you. So important things for phishing and smishing. Social Security Administration and IRS is not going to request you to pay over the phone. They are not bill collectors. They will send official notification through the US Post Office because they're mandated to. They are not going to friggin' email you. They're not going to text you. And anyone says they're going to sick the US Marshals on you for not paying the Social Security Administration or IRS, at that point I usually start laughing at them. So speaking of that one, about 1.5 years ago, I got a voicemail, because I usually don't answer my cell phone, from the S Is In Association. And I recognized, after I did some research and found the number, that it's a call center ostensibly located in Colorado. So I called them back. And I could definitely tell some things were off, because he said that this is the S Is In administration and you owe us $4,000. We would like you to pay over the phone, or we will send the US Marshals after you. When I laughed at them, they hung up, but I was annoyed by it. So I may have set up an auto dialer to call them 6,000 times to every phone number that they have there. In 2 days. Another one is our current situation where we are dealing with some individuals who are trying to scam the congregation. And when I've been finding out about those and getting those emails, I've added them to a nice little email list with a program that a buddy and I wrote, as well as that, well, it basically can send up to 10,000 emails at once. I'd go a little slower because I don't want to crash Google. Or sorry, not Google, but Gmail. And also I also signed them up for over 400 Christian newsletters. Actions to take and not to take if you think you're being phished. Do use a version of two-factor authentication. Usually when we see something like that, that means like biometrics, you know, checking your fingerprint and your PIN. In this case, it means use another medium to verify that you know is actually true. Don't click on a link. If it's an email, call a number that you know. Use a search engine to find the actual link of a site. Don't click on a site. If it is phishing, report. Well, Gmail has a pretty good report function. So if you're using that, just report it as phishing. Never forget that email addresses, because I can make an email address, unless you hover over it, look just like it's supposed to. Remember, emails, phone numbers, social media accounts can be hacked, faked, or imitated pretty easily. Do not do what I did. I was in the semi-gray area when it comes to legal ramifications, so don't do that. Don't be me. Do not respond in the email until you've verified through another medium. Do not ever click on any links unless you are expecting them, or download anything like that. And do not give money or info until you've verified them. Any questions?
Call a friend.
Yes, definitely call a friend. So these are the references from the pictures and all the information that I got. And that's it. So I guess questions. What questions y'all have? Hopefully there'll be some. Brian, Joe, anything?
Just one thing to remember. Pastor Tim had asked about whether or not antivirus will be helpful with phishing. No, it won't, because email, unless it goes through like Google, it's going to make it through Google's spam filter and get filtered out possibly that way. But if anything makes it through into your email inbox, it's going to look just like any other email, but it's just going to be the links that are malicious, unless it's going to be one of those emails that also has malware installed on it or attached to it. So the links themselves are not going to be detected by anything, except you actually going through and manually checking them.
Joe's absolutely right. If the only way it's going to get to you like that is if you allow it to. So you click on it, that's when you hope that your antivirus is going to come into play.
Oh, can I get that script?
I might be able to get it to you.
All right.
Now, you mentioned the quizzes.
Yes.
But there are also the pictures on social media where it's the games.
Yeah.
Where it's matching your birthday to the color, what's your unicorn name.
Yeah.
Putting your birthday, the first letter of your first name, your middle name, your pet's name.
If your bank account was your social security number, how much money would you have?
Yeah.
Seen that one. People fell for that one.
If your bank account was a social security,
if the amount of money in your bank account was your social security number, how much money would you have? Yeah, I've seen that one.
Also the fake missing person reports.
Oh yeah.
That you should not share a missing person report unless you got it from a law enforcement agency.
Wait, so why is that?
Because one, there are fake ones that can be set up with fake phone numbers, but additionally, sometimes you also have bad agents who are looking for real people. You don't necessarily know that the person who's setting up the missing person report has that person's best interest at heart.
So then, like, say someone was fleeing an abusive spouse, you just gave them information of where they were.
Mm.
I haven't heard of that one.
This one's fun.
So you talked about memes earlier. What is in the memes that we should be concerned about?
Go for it.
Well, you mentioned the embedded links.
Yep.
That sometimes, in other words, you download a picture and there are links embedded in it. But again, the ones that I'm seeing most often are the ones that end up translating to the little quizzes where you're responding to people with that. Again, I keep going back to what's your unicorn name because it's the most inoffensive one I can think of. Some of them seem okay, but a lot of them end up asking for information like the month you were born in, the day of your birth, letters, your initials, your pet's name. And so when you combine all that, yes, you're getting them a response. And then you have this long list of individuals underneath it who've just given out parts of their personal information that can then be used if somebody's trying to hack.
Yep. And if you collate that information over time, you start getting what's known as PII, personally identifiable information.
Would you say that the people who are doing this, they're calling information from thousands of people, millions of people, or are they targeting you specifically, or do you think they're doing sort of like a broad net approach?
It depends.
Yeah.
If we're talking quizzes, broad data approach, because you're going to a website, that website's collected that information. They just got probably your Facebook name and or your email, and then they just start pinning those pieces together. If it's email, it's generally called spear phishing, which is when they target specific individuals like church leadership or business leadership to go after them, or even the admin assistants for those leadership, because that's who you really want to get, because they're less likely, they're usually under more pressure, less likely to verify because it looks legit, and they have all the keys to the kingdom.
And another thing to remember is a computer and an internet connection are very cheap, and that's all you need to get started doing this stuff. A lot of the malware software is absolutely free. So you can do that, and then you can find anonymous proxies, which means you're bouncing it off of another computer to an anonymous site, or you can start controlling your own bot farm. So that's more anonymous sites. So, if you're targeting a specific person, you can easily do that just as well as you can target 100,000 people or 1 million people. It's very easily scaled, unfortunately. That's why it's so prolific around now.
Yeah, a lot of the fishers who go after malware will create bot farms that way, and then they'll rent those out to people.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know if my computer or any devices become a bot?
That's a fun one. If you're noticing the computer, like if it's on a laptop and it's on the battery and it's burning down a lot quickly, something's happening with processing. If your computer starts slowing down and you don't know why, you might want to check the processes and see what's running behind the scenes.
You can close down all your
That's important.
applications and things like that. And then if you go into your activity monitor or process monitor, all depending on what kind of operating system you have, it'll show you how much the processor is in use. And if that is at a certain, if you're not using it basically, by not having any applications open, and it's like over 35% or up to 50% or whatever, then you start wondering what kind of background processes are going on.
Yep. Christina brought up a good point for social media accounts too. If you start noticing tweets happened that you didn't send, or Facebook messages being sent that you didn't send, or posts on your wall that look like it's from you but didn't, your account's probably hacked. I'd recommend changing your password.
Is it just that simple? Just changing the password will take care of the problem?
Potentially, if they haven't installed a keylogger onto your computer through that malware we talked about.
I'm gonna go next week. I'm gonna go into a little bit of the social networking safety and stuff, and we'll be discussing that a little bit. But one thing to just keep in mind that I'll repeat next week. But just because your Facebook account has been hacked, or your Twitter account or Instagram, whatever, just because your online account has been hacked doesn't necessarily mean that your computer itself has been hacked. It could, but it doesn't necessarily mean it. So.
That's very true. There were a lot of information breaches, and a lot of people's accounts were exposed. It's not that hard to utilize that for nefarious purposes.
So would you say that the main takeaway is to be constantly learning? Because it
Yes.
seems to be that, because some version of this type of fraud has been going on since the Postal Service.
Chain letters.
So it's just a matter of doing our best to stay informed.
Yeah, best thing you can do. From a tech standpoint, keep your anti-malware stuff and your virus scanners updated. Keep your computers updated. We'll get into routers later, but keep those things updated with the firmware. But yeah, the best thing you can do is just be aware it's happening and verify the information you're getting before you click on it, before you send someone money.
And should you share with your social circle that you're being targeted?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, let them know. Yeah, hey, someone hacked my account. Don't trust anything from me. Too many people are afraid or embarrassed by that information. They got my Facebook account a couple years ago.
Twitter.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Ish.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's my Twitter. I was not happy about that.
But we should talk about attempts, not just if somebody succeeds.
Yeah.
Because when I got that email from Pastor Tim,
Tim.
I talked to you about it before responding or doing anything.
Yes.
So if you're unsure, maybe talk to somebody you trust.
Yeah, not even maybe, absolutely. Talk to someone you trust if it seems weird, and then utilize a trusted medium to contact the individual who is supposedly contacting you.
Actually, that's what I did when I can't remember if it was a text from Pastor Tim, but then I called him,
Mm-hmm.
right, rather than texting him back, and I've gotten the email, kind of gotten messages from him a couple of different ways.
Because unfortunately, human nature, the first response is to respond back to exactly who sent it to you, rather than going around and actually calling them or going a different venue of communicating with them. So.
Yep. Do not follow your instincts in this regard.
But also don't be ashamed if you got tricked.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't harp on that enough. There's no shame. These attacks focus on the lizard and monkey brain going after your emotional response, because your cognitive response can take minutes to weeks to really fully engage, but your emotional response will take milliseconds to seconds. Oh, Pastor Tim needs my help. I need to do this. Oh, I want to help. Or, oh God, they're going to come repossess my car. I need to pay this right now. That's how they win.
And we have a lot of very empathetic and kind people at our church.
Yeah.
And that's what they target. Yep.
That's how they get you. Barring any questions, I mean, that's pretty much all I got for session 1. Joe's going to handle session 2 next week, and I'm still figuring out session 3, which may be a demonstration on what happens and how easy it is to hack a wireless router, but we'll see.
Ooh, theater.
Could be.